Good evening and a warm welcome to a new season of Big Budget Business, where we highlight prolific individuals making strides in their respective fields, whether it's from a business or professional perspective. Today we are speaking to the head of compliance at Stanbic Bank, Botswana, Shathani Molefe. Shathani Molefe, welcome to Big Budget Business.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure having you.
Yes.
So we'd just like to start by getting a brief background of Shathani. Who is Shathani? Talk about your career and how you got to where you are at this point.
Okay. So I've been in the industry for around 15 years now. I started off as an external auditor at Ernst & Young before joining Bank of Botswana, where I worked in the banking supervision department. Later on, I moved to a competitor bank, Standard Chartered Bank, now in the front line, assisting customers as a relationship manager, before moving on to NBFIRA, another regulator, the Non-Bank Financial Institutions Regulatory Authority, where I worked under the capital markets division. And then lastly, where I currently am, Stanbic Bank Botswana, where I joined as a compliance manager, and a year later elevated to head of compliance, and I've been there now 7 years.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Maybe to touch on your educational background for the young people out there who'd like to walk in your shoes.
So it's a tricky one with compliance. It's a new field in Botswana, a new profession. So out there at the moment, there aren't many qualifications in Botswana, particularly there aren't with regards to compliance. But my background, I have a Bachelor of Finance degree from the University of Botswana. I've got the Diploma of Banking. I'm a certified Anti-Money Laundering specialist, and I've recently embarked on a new journey, completing my postgraduate diploma in future studies with Stellenbosch University in South Africa.
Oh, wonderful. So I take it we all see the value and importance of education on our journeys. Let me remind you that we are live, ladies and gentlemen, and there is a link that will be shared in the comment section if you'd like to call in and ask our guest, the head of compliance at Stanbic Bank Botswana, Shathani Molefe. If you'd like to ask her questions, please feel free to call in. Also, note that you can comment in the comment section if you have your questions. If you prefer that, please do so. Our comment section should be busy. You could get yourself an awesome Stanbic Bank hamper today. So Shathani, it's KYC, Know Your Customer season, and a lot of us have been getting, alerts that we have to submit documents in order for us to be compliant. Please speak to us about the importance of compliance, and then also the perhaps consequences of non-compliance. If you could start perhaps from a personal perspective, then corporate, and then maybe even at a national level.
Okay. So KYC for us is not a tick box exercise.
Okay.
It's really important because that's where we get to know our customers. We want to know who you are. We want to know what kind of activity you're doing, how big your portfolio is going to be, the kind of funds that we should expect to see from you. So we use all of that information really to profile our customers, not only from a compliance perspective, but also from a business opportunities. The more we know about you, the more we can solution for you as a bank. So with KYC, it's very important that you keep your information up to date. Yes, we KYC you at the beginning of the relationship when you're opening your account for the first time, but we also KYC you throughout the life of our relationship with you because we want to keep up to date with where you are and what you're doing. So it's very important to keep yourself up to date. The results of non-compliance, I don't think anybody wants to go through that.
Yes, of course.
As a bank, we are required to maintain the laws of Botswana, which mandate us to keep your information up to date. As a result, we don't want to put ourselves at risk of penalties and fines as well.
Oh, yes.
So if your documents are not up to date, we can actually freeze your accounts. We have that derivative to be able to freeze your accounts. We can also close your accounts if we persist for a long time and we're not able to get your records. So that can happen to you both at an individual level as well as a business perspective. But we try to really minimize that by communicating with our clients, as you rightfully mentioned, the messages, the public notices, just to try to get you to bring in those documents well in advance.
And then maybe can you touch on, perhaps even at a national level, the importance of a country actually being compliant to, is it international laws and the like?
Yes, that's very important. For Botswana, I think we all know we were grey listed, and that grey listing came out of an assessment that was done for Botswana. The assessment was done by an international body, by the Financial Action Task Force in 2017. Unfortunately, we didn't fare so well in that assessment. We were largely non-compliant as a country. As a result, we were grey listed and had to put in measures to address the non-compliance and implement a lot of legislation, as you would have seen coming out, to make sure that we meet those standards, the international standards that are required of a country. So it's very important that we are seen as compliant. We're seen to have the relevant measures in place from a legal perspective, implementation perspective, enforcement perspective as well. That's one aspect that we also need to ensure that we have as a country. And that was the reason why we were ultimately removed from the grey listing last year in October, because after several engagements with the international bodies, we gave them sufficient information and commitment that we had addressed the shortcomings.
Absolutely, because I see there are a lot of amendments to acts that are taking place, and this is as a result of us trying to become compliant as a nation.
Yes.
Wonderful. I also picked up the fact that you said at a personal level, you can actually freeze my accounts if I don't submit the required documentation.
Yeah.
Because one might think, okay, fine, what's the need? You already have my ID number, you already have my addresses, but I see that it's important for us to continuously give you that information. All right, so there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want your account frozen, be sure to ensure that you submit your KYC documents whenever they're requested. And we can see that even at corporate levels and national levels, there are consequences to non-compliance. I can see that we've already got some comments in our section. We've got Naledin Tuli, who says, so glad to see a big budget business is back. Thank you so much, Naledin Tuli. We also have Tapelo Junior Diputi, who says, great topic. Wow, so it's wonderful to see that our audience at home is appreciating the topic. I think we have a call on the line, so let's take this call. Hello, caller. Hello, caller, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, sir. Yes, can you hear us clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, wonderful, sir. Please give us your name and your questions.
All right, it's Tumelo.
Oh, hi, Mr. Tumelo.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes. I just want to do a follow-up on the question you just did on the regulations, and that maybe she can give us just a summary of what's new, what new documents the customers can expect to be asked for those documents, especially from corporate perspective. Because like she mentioned, one of the acts that were amended are your Companies Act, on what was amended from the Companies Act and what can we expect for them to ask.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Tumelo. There we have it very briefly. What's new? Tumelo, before you go, I would like to congratulate you. Thanks for being our first caller today. You get yourself an awesome hamper courtesy of Stanbic Bank Botswana. Please be sure to leave your details.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Tumelo. So there are a number of changes, particularly in the corporate space. I think for the retail or individuals, there isn't a lot of change. We introduced source of funds some couple of years ago, and I think that was the most significant change that we've seen in that space. However, with the corporates, you would have seen the re-registration with SIPA. All of that whole process is around having a database of the companies within Botswana. That includes information on your shareholders, your directors, and now something that has been introduced, which is your ultimate beneficial owners. So those are the people that beyond and beyond the shareholding ultimately benefit from the organization. And that is something that, it has, a lot of companies have struggled with trying to get that in place. but it is important information for the banks to go through. So another change in the recent legislation, we've seen a lot more coming out around sanctions, countering of terrorism, financing of terrorism. A lot of that coming out in Botswana. We are part of the United Nations, and as a result, we are required to also abide by that. So in all our dealings, we cannot operate with sanctioned persons by any of the international bodies. So there are quite a number of changes coming out, particularly for the corporates. But we have a new act again. The Financial Intelligence Act was recently enacted in February, I think the 25th of February, a very new one again, but trying to make it a little bit simpler for us to practice and implement the legislation, because it was quite onerous in terms of some of the definitions that were coming out of the last review.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. Mr. Tumelo, I take it that your question has been comprehensively answered. Thank you so much for that, Shathani. So I think we accept or appreciate the gravity of this aspect of compliance for all of us. And let's remember that there are implications for us with the changes in legislation that have been taking place. Now, you recently participated in an event that was hosted by the Botswana Pension Society, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yes, so now that we speak of this aspect of pensions, perhaps tell us from your and the bank's perspective, yours and the bank, what exactly do you think is the importance of retirement funds and aspects such as that?
Yeah, so retirement funds are very important. We all know we're not going to work forever.
Absolutely.
There's going to come a time where we need to retire, we need to venture into something else. And pensions are really in preparation for that time for all of us. And it's important that we safeguard those funds. So regulation as well around that aspect has grown tremendously, with the NBFIRA introducing or revising their acts and introducing certain guidelines to safeguard pension funds. Those funds are also quite important for our economy. They are utilized within the Botswana economy in terms of boosting activity across different sectors and industries. So it's very important that we safeguard the pension funds.
Wow. So definitely something that's very important there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on Big Budget Business, speaking to the head of compliance at Stanbic Bank Botswana, Shathani Molefe, and we've touched on aspects such as compliance and its importance, the risks of non-compliance or consequences thereof.
Yeah.
We did speak a bit about pensions and retirement funds. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to keep your comments and questions coming. This is your opportunity to engage with Shathani Molefe and the bank if you have pertinent questions. We'll move on to something else that you did touch on, but I think is very important, especially from the perspective of me, the man on the street. This aspect of counter-financing of terrorism, as well as anti-money laundering. Tell us a bit about your perspective about that and why the bank deems it important.
Yeah, so the two really relate to funds, but relate to funds in different ways.
Okay.
So anti-money laundering, we're really more interested in knowing where the funds are coming from. We don't want to deal with funds that are coming from illegal activities, no matter what the illegal activity is, white collar, blue collar, whatever color the crime is. We don't want to participate in that. And with financing of terrorism, we're now more concerned about where the funds are going. So in that instance, we don't want to finance any crime or participate in any crime against humanity. That is why that is so important, and probably more important than money laundering measures, because in that instance you are part of something that can cause death and stuff like that. So with Stanbic Bank Botswana, we take both matters quite seriously. We have processes, we have systems, we have people in place to make sure that we guard against anti-money laundering and financing of terrorism.
Wow, thank you so much. you put it very succinctly there. You do not want to find yourselves involved in something that could be a crime to humanity, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. And of course, anti-money laundering, you said you need to know where the money is coming from. You know, a lot of the time when you're depositing money, you'll find that they ask you, what is the source of funds? Because I think that was a fairly new development. I think a few years ago, that's when it started, because you could just make your deposits. But now I see that the bank and others, of course, are taking charge with respect to where the money is coming from. All right, so that was basically anti-money laundering and counter financing of terrorism. We have another comment here from Tapelo Junior Diputi. Tapelo, you are very active on our timeline today, so just for that, we'll also give you an awesome Stanbic Bank hamper. So be sure to send your details to the Black Network page, and then you'll be able to collect your hamper. And he says here, great to hear that we were removed from a money laundering list. I think this is basically the national level, the grey list. The grey list, specifically. And he says now we need more education on that so that it doesn't happen again. Absolutely. And what are your thoughts on that in terms of education and the like?
Yeah, so definitely it's not a once-off. This was the second time, I believe, that we had been subjected to a review. They will be back again. So definitely we cannot relax. We cannot think that we've ticked the box and moved on. So education is very important. As the banking sector, not just Stanbic Bank, we also participate and make sure that we coordinate efforts to educate the general public around the changes in the legislation. But as Stanbic as well, it's very important that our clients understand, because I know as the list goes on and on in terms of what is required, it's quite frustrating. But when you understand what the documents are being used for, I hope that that will make it a lot easier for our clients to understand where we're coming from. So definitely education around what's changing, how does it impact the individuals, how does it impact the corporates, is very important, and we definitely aim to ensure that we spread the word around that.
Thank you very much. So she's definitely in agreement with you, Tapelo Junior Diputi. And then just a quick another one here from Noma Googs. She says, which higher authority in Botswana regulates anti-money laundering, and why is there little education around it? Which higher authority in Botswana regulates anti-money laundering, and why is there little education around it?
Okay, so we have the Financial Intelligence Agency. That is really the coordinating body around financial crime laws. So they are, I would say, then the higher authority. But every institutions, particularly the financial institutions, have their primary regulators for us, Bank of Botswana, as well as NBFIRA for some of our activities within the bank. And they also have to foresee and ensure that we adhere to those regulations. So together, the regulatory bodies in terms of Bank of Botswana and NBFIRA coordinate along with the Financial Intelligence Agency to make sure that the laws are implemented within the institutions. Why is there little education about it? I don't know really. I think the past couple of years have been quite a whirlwind for Botswana, really trying to clean up. There have been so many changes, and I think if we tried to continuously educate, somewhere along the line you would have given up. But I think we're at a more stable space now. We will definitely do more efforts to make sure that we educate our clients, we educate the public and corporates alike around what are the changes and what's the impact of that.
All right. No, thank you so much for that. And Norma Cooks, thank you so much for your question. You are also the winner of an awesome Stanbic Bank hamper. So what you did mention there was that you see, there's a lot of regulation, yes, of course, but what I think was very important was the fact that it's a concerted effort. Everyone's coming together to see how they can coordinate and work with the Financial Intelligence Agency. So it's a joint effort.
Definitely.
Wonderful, that's good. So I think basically in closing, let me just ask, how can we submit our KYC documents to Stanbic? How can we contact Stanbic Bank if you would like to get any services basically that the bank has?
Yeah, so we have a customer contact center that you can engage with and get more details around how to submit your information if you don't have a relationship manager. You can also submit your documents at our branches. which are spread across the country. Our customer contact center number is 398-7801.
Can you repeat that?
398-7801.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Shathani Molefe. You've been a wonderful guest, and you've shared a lot on the importance of KYC, AML, CFT, retirement funds, not recruitment, rather, retirement funds, and we really appreciate you and the bank for having been on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So before we end the show, please don't go anywhere. We're just going to go for a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be back with the 2-minute tip that you've all missed after such a long period before we started this 3rd season of Big Budget Business. Right, so today's 2-minute tip, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll be talking about is the importance or considerations that you should make when you are making a basic financial plan. Now, basic financial plan is basically you assessing your current financial situation and then setting goals for your finances, and then determining strategies that will help you reach those goals. So basically, simply put, a financial plan, number one, always start by assessing your current financial state. This is simply you seeing whether or not you're in the red or you're safe with respect to your finances. Number two, ensure that you create budgets. Now, along your financial journey, you'll find that you have different sources of income and different expenses. So on a regular basis, be sure to set your income against your expenses and look at the differences between the two. Number three, be sure to set financial goals. We did say that your financial plan involves strategies towards goals, but what are your goals? Perhaps in 5 to 10 years, you'd like to find yourself having a house or 2 cars and the like. Set those things down such that you can then work on strategies to reach that. Number 4, know your risk tolerance. You'll find that when you've set your financial plan, you might find yourself with excess funds that you might want to invest or save. But before you do that, be sure that you take risks that are calculated. So do as much research as possible. Number 5, work out and implement your financial plan. If you've got a plan, be sure to work it. You work your plan and everything will go accordingly. And lastly, be sure to regularly review and monitor whatever you've set for your financial plan. There's no use in you setting plans and then not going back, perhaps at the end of the year or at the end of the month, to revisit your finances. So, ladies and gentlemen, simply put, these are a few of the considerations that you can take when setting your financial plan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful show. As always, it's been a pleasure having you view us. From me, Big Budget, the team that makes it happen, Black Network, and of course, Stanbic Bank. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Good night. And never forget that you were born for so much more.